A common question comes about, can a person go into a church? Are you allowed to walk inside a church? Sometimes there are such a thing that they take a group of kids to visit a church, especially they do it in Israel. Over here also, there are some fancy places that people like to go and visit. Is that something that Halacha allows? So we need to know like this. There is a Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, page Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. And the Gemara over there speaks about Rabbi Chanina and Rabbi Yonatan. They were walking down the street, and they had two paths to go. One was leading into opening of Avodah Zarah, doesn't enter into Avodah Zarah, but just goes through a place that Avodah Zarah is there, which means a church or any other worship, place of worship. And the other place was leading into an immoral place. So one of the Amoraim thought it's better to go through the place that leads into the Avodah Zarah and just walk by that street than to go into the immoral place, because then there's a Yetzer Hara involved in that. Obviously, better to walk in a place where there's no Yetzer Hara, since Chachamim destroyed the Yetzer Hara of Avodah Zarah, but they did not destroy the Yetzer Hara of doing immoral things. So that was a thought of one of the Amoraim. The other one said, no, it's better to walk and pass through the immoral place than the Avodah Zarah. The Tosfot concludes from that you see that it's a person has to try not to walk even in the street that Avodah Zarah is there. Try to walk in a different street. Don't walk in that street at all. So much the Rambam says, and this is Halacha, the Rambam applies that one is not even allowed to live in a city where there's a church in there. No, one is not allowed to live in a city where you have Avodah Zarah. This Halacha, obviously, says the Rambam, is not applicable because any place you want to live in the world has Avodah Zarah. And therefore, since we're stuck, we work here, we live here, we already here, so it's like a onus. We have no other choice. Nevertheless, you learn from that one definitely should try to stay as far away as possible from a church. And therefore, he says the Rambam, for sure you're not allowed to walk into a church or even look at it. So a person walking by should even try to go to a different street, cross the street, or not even look at that Avodah Zarah. The Rosh brings down in Siman Kuf Nun Zayin, interesting thing. The Tur brings the Rosh in Siman Kuf Nun Zayin. And over there he says that if one needs to go into a church to save his life, only for that alone, he's allowed to go into a church. If, let's say, somebody chases him and they're going to kill him, murder him, he knows for sure that if he doesn't walk into the church, he's going to end up dying. It's better to go into the church than to die. For that, we don't say, Yareg Bal Yavor. You're not worshipping Avodah Zarah, you're just walking into the place. You see from here that only for such a thing you're allowed to walk into a church, but for any other reason, one is not allowed to go inside such a place. More than that, there's a Sefer Hasidim that says that there was a story about somebody that the Goy owed him money. Every time the Goy saw that Jew, he ran into a church knowing that the Jew is not going to follow him into the church. And so that's the way it was, day in and day out. One time, the Jew was fed up, and he ran after him into the church. After that, he felt so bad. He went to the rabbi and he asked him, did he do the right thing? What's the halacha? The rabbi told him, you must repent for the rest of your life. And every year, in that day that you walked in, you have to do teshuvah and you have to fast on that day. There's another Sefer Hasidim that says that one time a person walked into a church and he heard a bat kol saying constantly that he's in the place of tumah. Oti shlachta acharei gavecha. It's the place of tumah. The Chesed Avraham, he brought down in the Chidah, the Chesed Avraham, Rabbi Avraham Azulai says that a person that walks into a church is in the possession of sitra acha of the tumah, and constantly, slowly, that thing is making him more tameh, and he doesn't know, he doesn't feel it, and it could be very dangerous for him. So there we learn that one is not allowed on any condition to walk into a church, and one should be very careful about it. He's not allowed to go if he gets, for instance, offer to make a lot of money and to build such a place, not allowed. The only time you're allowed to walk into such a place is if there is a life in danger.